Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So I have come to a massive revelation for myself, and I would just like to share it all with you guys, because those of you who watch my channel have probably heard me say a lot of times that I'm a monadic twin. But what exactly is that? And this is where it's really interesting, but I am going through it to actually see what it is. And what's interesting is it's not a simple route, at least not of mine. I don't know about any other monadic twins out there, but what was really interesting for me is the people that I'm coming across in my life, the things that are occurring in my life, and putting it all together, which is so interesting. So let me start with my birth chart. Okay, so my natal chart, my birthday, my birth time, my birthplace came up with a chart. Now, what's interesting to know is when I started getting into natal chart reading, I was already in my 40s. Okay, so I didn't do this when I was little. However, what was interesting is the life I grew up living had a lot of trauma. I had a lot of near-death experiences occur, but I survived them. And each one brought me closer to my relationship with what at that time I called God. Now, I remember growing up asking the question, what is God, all the time. My family had a issue with religion. Not so much like believing religion per se. They believe God, but part of my family was Roman Catholic, but they didn't practice, but the other part did. There was always a lot of talk of witchcraft and how we had a lot of fear in our family of witches and becoming or being involved with witches. So my family was always like, stay away from them, they're witches. They would always call it out like that. Now, me growing up, it was interesting to note that when I was, being baptized. So as beliefs of, Catholic religion, you get christened at a young age, you have to get your godfather, or whatever. However, what was interesting to note is my father had said that I don't want to be christened. And my mom and the family was like, how do you know? And he just says, I just know she doesn't want to be Catholic. Now, the funny thing is I did get a godfather per se, but I don't know. Now, as a little kid, we don't know anything about christening. It doesn't make a difference. But when I got older and, a lot of family members were pushing me out, saying that I was evil, I was the devil, I was the witch, and it was all because I was telling truth, but they thought, oh, you're trying to hurt our family with your truth, so you're the witch. You see what I'm saying? However, long story short, guys, because, growing up in a family that doesn't practice religion, but part of them do, it's confusing. Then also the fact that being raised by people who claim to be with God, yet use God as the reason they do bad things. Okay, like the time my father hits me and says, if I didn't hit you, you would become a thief. That lingers with me to this day because for some reason, I'm attracting thieves. I'm attracting people who hit me and, but not hit me. They literally hit me with the same thing that I grew up fearing, which is abandonment, speaking my truth. So, this is, those of you who are watching my channel, you probably see and hear a lot about my story. And what's interesting to note, guys, I'm telling you this right now, everything that happened in my life was a clue, was leading me here. So when they tell you that astrology is not, or spirituality is not something you just learn or become, I became spiritual. No, it's something you connect to because it's a part of you. You have an earthy part and a spiritual part, but they are supposed to be connected. However, most of us growing up leave the spiritual part and start believing only the 3D earthy part because it just makes sense. However, what we don't recognize is the earth, the 3D earth, if you're not connected to the spiritual, which is the water, the 3D earth will only use air. So now you've got earth and air, but you're hovering over the water. You don't want to go there. And that's why in the tarot cards, you guys, when I share with you guys the shadow, the wands are always hovering above water with a spirit, an external spirit, a cat, whatever, bat, okay, the broom, whatever, right? So this is what I'm starting to learn as a monadic twin. This is one of your gifts as a monadic twin, is that you will encounter your vertex in the 3D, because you have all three energetics in you. And the fact that you have all three energetics, you're not going to be able to put that together per se without the revelation of your downfall, which happened in the 3D life. So as a monadic, you're the 4D. The 3D is your vertex. You're going to meet your vertex, but it's going to align. You're going to know because number-wise, it's going to align. This is how you know you're a true monadic. Okay, is the vertex partner you are meant to meet, like mine. Okay, if my charts align vertex-wise with the numbers, I think it's 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's degree points. Now it just depends on what you're here to learn monadic-wise. Okay, what you're here to evolve depends on the degree point, and that's why the degree points, guys, like right now, Uranus being square, the nodes, the north and south node in Pisces and Virgo at 2 degrees, that's actually aligned with my water energy. My Chiron was at 2 degrees, so this is my Chiron return. It was in Taurus, and but mind you, you guys, when you have if you're a monadic, you're gonna have 3 energetics, and you're gonna be able to put it together: 3, 4, 5, 3D, 4D, 5D. And what that does is, like, for instance, my 3D sun is in an earth sign, because 3D is earth. It's everything that happens in the physical form. So the 3D realm is where I use my Gemini Mercury and my Virgo Mercury. Okay, and then the 4D is who I am. Okay, the 4D realm. The 4D is the feelings. That's why my sun is in Pisces, Virgo, access. Okay, and then in the 5D realm, which is where you're going to use the fire and air, my sun is in Aquarius. But you know what was interesting? Is I had the 3D and 5D pinned wrong. Uranus going square, the nodal axis, just revealed to me today, it's like 5 minutes ago, that Loki, I have met Loki here in the 3D realm. Loki was a Scorpio, by the way, but not necessarily. I'm not saying Loki was using this homeless guy who's a Scorpio. Okay, so the energetic was able to be pulled through him. And Loki had lied to me, because Loki is the trickster. But it's because I had to learn. I had to learn that my Lilith energy in the 5D realm, okay, or in the 3D realm, also goes out to use Lilith rather than the truth, my Venus. And so this was part of my lesson. Part of my lesson was to learn that when I was young, okay, my 3D energy went to Lilith and believed Lilith. Okay, Lilith at 17 degrees in the Capricorn, which is in the earth. So when my father betrayed me, when my mother gaslights me, when my uncles call me a witch, all that happened on the earth. And I went to Lilith for support, for help, to get through all those feelings they were causing inside. But the problem is, my 4D chart, my Venus is powerful. But Lilith took over, used my Pluto, used my Persephone, used my Hecate in order to, with my 5D energy, attract all of them in a physical form. And that's why everybody I'm attracting is always reflecting my brokenness, because I'm using my Lilith. So this was one of my biggest lessons as a monadic, was that if I use Lilith rather than Venus, I'm always going to attract with my 5D energy, because that's your attractor. Your 5D energy, guys, is your fire and air. Your 4D is your earth and water. Your 3D is going to be your both masculine, feminine, Mercury. That's why Uranus right now is the higher octave of Mercury. Mercury is in Cancer, learning all kinds of stuff from Venus and Jupiter and Saturn and Neptune and Pluto. But without higher octave Uranus, he would not have been able to process all that. And so this is where these energetics came together for me, because everything that's going on right now energetically is at my degree points, my massive degree points. So this is my time here on earth as a monadic to put this all together, because I have a mission and purpose to help uncover shadows on this planet, the shadows that people don't understand or don't know how to process or don't know how to even see. So anyways, guys, today I'm just getting all kinds of goosebumps right now. But today, and by the way, the story I mentioned yesterday about that boyfriend, he's part of the Lilith energy attraction. But he did reveal some stuff to me, for sure. It was part of the plan. He was part of the plan. He's, like I said, everybody I'm meeting is aligning with a lot of my energetics in, my different realms. Depends on where I meet them. So that guy, the boyfriend I had, I met him in the 5D realm. And I met him in the 5D realm, but he actually lives outside the zone. That's why I remember, guys, trans-Neptunian objects like Lilith, Aries, Hecate, all them, anything tied to Pluto and Hades, the underworld, emotions you don't process in your water energy, which is your 4D, anything that you don't process is going to be met when you use your 5D energy. And remember, your 5D energy is your brain and your sun. If you're trying to manifest something out there in the collective, Aquarius, okay, all you're going to manifest is chaos that is trapped in here in the 4D realm. So I know it's hard to grasp. A lot of times when I go to talk about 3D, 4D, 5D, a lot of people fall out. Like they literally cannot, handle it. So that's probably why I don't have a lot of viewers on my channels. It's like a lot of people, I get a lot of subscribers, but I only get like a couple of views, because the things I talk about is not very easy to grasp on an earthy realm. I have to try to figure out a way to relate this stuff to you guys in a way that you will be able to fathom it. You know what I mean? So I'm using cards, but I don't know if that's helpful. I'm going to keep going. My Venus is very creative. Once I rejoin with my Mars, I will start manifesting differently, things. But right now, today was just a day of revelation for me. So let's see where it takes us. I'm going to do a shadow reading today because it is the 11th and tomorrow is the actual square. Uranus square the north and south node. So let's go ahead and do the shadow reading for today. A lot of times it applies to me big time. I definitely love doing the shadow readings. I'm going to set it up and I'm going to have to adjust the camera. I love doing shadow readings because they come true. Like they reveal things to me, and I want to know what's coming. And not really what's coming, but just what is happening in my life right now. That's what this is doing. It's uncovering things. Okay, and so we're going to put down our cards. We're going to shuffle one more time for the practical application and the relationship to self. And you know, a lot of the readings I do, oh my God, it comes true, you know? And actually, Holy Spirit was like, cut it. Okay. All right, so let's do the reveal today. Here we go. Whew. So the Venus value, wow, Ace of Pentacles, the shadow around the Venus value. Notice how the Ace of Pentacles, Ace means you've got it going on, but it's a shadow. Paying into your own death, putting on that show, not caring about all the damage that you're experiencing in your life. You just keep paying into getting those pentacles, putting it into your own grave. But what does that mean, guys? This is where Venus, you know, who your Venus is life. Who you came here to be and share is your life force energy. If you're putting on a show and not listening to where you're being hurt, all because it's paying you benefits, and that's why this ex-boyfriend kept calling me Benny. And I was like, what the hell is Benny? But then I watched a movie called Leap Year, where the girl was in her masculine and wanted her boyfriend to marry her. But he was a doctor, so he was too busy with his life to even see her. So leap year, there was a tradition in Ireland where women could propose to a man on leap year. And it would be considered normal. And so she got all excited and was like, oh boy, I'm going to go and propose to my boyfriend, because he was going to work in Ireland during that time. And so she was like, why do I have to wait for him to propose? Let me propose. But this is where she didn't think about it. First of all, leap year only happens every 4 years. What are you going to do? Only celebrate your wedding anniversary? You only deserve to be celebrated every 4 years? You're gypping yourself. You're cheating yourself. And reality was, the guy she met in Ireland told her, he's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He's like, if a guy doesn't want to marry you 4 years, like later, she said she was with him for 7 years or something, and he's like, if he hasn't wanted to marry you, then he doesn't want to. Most men who see a gift, who see a prize, they won't let other people have it. They will take that woman and put a ring on her because she's a prize to be held onto. You know what I mean? If a guy doesn't see that, and then you decide you're going to be asking him, you're fooling yourself. And that's exactly what Venus tries to tell us. Okay, Venus says who you are is your worth. You don't have to go out and put on a show and be paid for it. You already are worthy. You have a lot of worth. You just have to see that and accept it for yourself. And so the fear that keeps us running is the hanged man. So the bat. Remember how I told you guys, the water. On the bottom here, the water. You don't want to touch the water. So the fear that keeps you going is staying away from your Venus and going out there, paying into collecting money from external, collecting validation from external people, is that you don't want to process your feelings. You don't want to feel into all the things that are actually happening. When a guy doesn't want to marry you, and so you say, well, I'll just wait. It's not a part of your plan. It's not a part of your Venus. Okay, different values. So the harsh truth here is the King of Pentacles. Remember how I told you guys, you're always riding an external spirit. But notice here, the external spirit is grounded, but you're transformed. And the reason you're transformed with a pumpkin hat is because you're trying to harvest the show that you put on. You're trying to say, I'm being real, I'm honest, I'm noble, but not to myself, to what I want to get, what I want to manifest, what I want to harvest. I'm going to lie my head off to get what I need to get. And I'm going to call that truth because the world says, once I have a house and a car and a legacy, I've accomplished the earthy goals, the mission and purpose of life. There's not one mission and purpose of life. There's your mission and purpose in life, which is to elevate who you truly are. But it's hard to elevate who you truly are when there's so much trauma compacted on top of you. But you're afraid to uncover that. Instead, you listen to external spirit. Like I said, guys, I've been listening to Lilith for a long time, thinking she knew more than my Venus. And that's not true. But my Venus at 26 degrees Pisces, 4D realm, was buried by the 5D, 3D energetics. So remember, guys, in the 3D is where all your traumas happen. The 5D is all the shadows that will cover who you truly are. And you believe it. You turn to external mechanisms, external modalities, external tactics, skills to conquer your worth and validation. But your worth and validation is trapped in the water, which you never touch because of that external spirit lie, that shadow that was put over your 3D. And so your 3D self running with Lilith is paying into your coffin, which you're never going to take with you. You're not going to elevate with that. Okay, and so the practical application here is drop it all. Here we are, 10 of Wands. Drop the load that you're carrying. All that knowledge you picked up was tied to a shadow. Start over. Stop being a chicken. Stop following external spirit. Drop everything. Face your feelings. Ask Holy Spirit to process emotions and align who you truly are with your Venus values. And then with Holy Spirit, move that forward. That's probably going to be the relationship. 8 of Pentacles. Notice how there's an external spirit tied to the center of that pentacle. Because guess what? The center is your Venus values. But if you are using spirit, external light to lead you, you're already transformed. You're transformed. You've got all these spirits working with you, but they're using your Venus. They're using your Venus, and they're playing as your Venus. Notice how the house is outside. You're not feeling at home in your body. You have to do all this out here. You're transformed. Okay? So the relationship that needs healing is the one to your Venus, but you have to let go external spirit. You have to let go of everything you've learned along the way because it was all tied to an external harsh truth of manifesting. I'm telling you, you guys, a lot of people are like afraid of losing their house, losing their car, their job. But if it's not in alignment with your true Venus values, no matter how much you hold on to it, it's going to get wiped out. You think you've got it all covered. But no, the only thing that's going to cover it is processing your emotions, the fears. If you're afraid that you're going to lose your house, talk to Holy Spirit. Say, Holy Spirit, I'm afraid of being homeless. I'm afraid of losing my house. But listen, Holy Spirit is going to ask you, how would it feel to be homeless? What fear? Because fear is deep. There's several emotions tied to it. Okay, and you have to uncover that by journaling with Holy Spirit. It's going to bring up an emotion. Feel it. Then Holy Spirit will tell you when you say, I don't know what to do. Holy Spirit will say, let's go follow your joy. And whatever your joy is, my joy was this. Holy Spirit said, Eva, go do your reading because your Venus loves that. It's a part of you. And I said, but I don't even know what I'm going to say. He's like, just tell him your story. Even if it doesn't make any sense, getting it out is what your Venus wants to do. That's the first step. And, the next day is going to be different. So we think our days are connected. What I did yesterday, but it's like, well, no, it's like a video game. You collected pieces. And the only pieces that matter are the ones that when you're talking to Holy Spirit, all of a sudden pop back into your head. You say, I don't know why I can't let go of this. Because there's something tied to that you still need to process. Okay, so that's why I ended up getting back together with this guy. It's not because we were meant to be together forever, but it was part of fate. Right place, right time, because there's still a piece of the puzzle that I needed to collect. And he said some stuff to me about 22. 22 is the degree point, my Mars in my 4D realm ended up misusing or was being used by Lilith in the 5D. Because my Lilith in 5D is 22 degrees. So you notice how, but it was in Aquarius. So the Lilith in Aquarius is a 5D energetic spirit that I brought in with that 22 degree Mars fear. There was a 22 degree internal fear because my Mars is in Cancer, 22 degrees internal. So that Lilith was like, oh yeah, baby, we're going to use that. We're not going to process your fear. Mars, you're going to use me. And I'm an external spirit and I'm living off your Venus. But your Venus, my Venus in Pisces, 26 degrees is very powerful. But I can't even get to her because Lilith is using her the tick. Using her and is going out there making manipulative tactics to get what I want, right? To pay into what I want. But it's really paying me into death. And that's what this guy revealed to me today. It was so interesting, our conversation. But you see, guys, being a monadic twin, I have that ability to see energy. So when him and I were texting, even though I said, okay, thanks for the information, I was like, I'm going to close you off for a second and talk to Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit is the one that said, this is where you're going wrong. This is where you're misusing your power. And I was like, oh my God, wow, what a revelation, okay? And that's coming to me all because of these energetics opening up. June 9th, Venus conjunct Jupiter was at 25 degrees. That's my Saturn in my 4D realm. Okay, and so that's where I had a lot of issues around my sun. So, yeah. Wow, and I even said the word sun. Go get your paycheck with your sun. Wow. And I didn't even mean to say that. The translator translated it to that. And I was like, I didn't say that. But the energetic miscommunication was being revealed. So I swear to God, guys, being a monadic is incredible. But it's about putting it together, though. That's the hard part. And because I had my 3D, 5D inverted because of Loki, I've been kind of misunderstanding it. It wasn't making sense. And so then it occurred to me today on the way back that, oh my God, Loki is a trickster. He's not. That's why he got arrested. So I was like, shoot, man, now it's all coming together. I had a glitch listening to external spirit. That's where I went wrong. Always going out before asking Holy Spirit. If I wanted to know what realm I'm in, all I should have said was, Holy Spirit, what realm is this? And Holy Spirit would have just told me right away. Boom. But I never asked. I was always afraid to ask Holy Spirit. But that's a glitch I have between Mars and Lilith versus Venus. And my moon is always turning to external spirit, because Mars being in 22 degrees, Cancer uses my moon. And so this is where the Lilith and Pisces in my 4D realm. Oh man, I'm telling you, being a monadic, this is to put your energetics together. Once you get it, ta-da! Alright, so I'll probably come back tomorrow with some massive revelation because we got June 13th, Venus enters Leo. Whew! My. This is where a lot's going to be coming through. So I will see you guys over there, or, I'm going to see you tomorrow with some more shadow reveal. And, just let's see what comes, all right? I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy. Ciao.